I haven't heard that in a while. Sounds like you're singing through a megaphone. My goodness. Live from the Trustmark studios of the Gallo Show. Plan for your family's future with a bank that fits you to a T, as in Trustmark Wealth Management Division. Good morning, sir. How are you? Gregg Harper, 3rd District former congressman. You recognize that man.
Look, it's just so good to talk to you, and thank you for playing, starting this segment with Herman's Hermits and Peter Noon.
Why did I do that? Why would I do that?
Well, my wife and I are over her objections. Next Saturday night, we're going to Philadelphia to hear Herman's Hermits do a concert. So, I mean, this was monumental. Thank you.
Philadelphia, PA, or Philadelphia, MS?
At the Ellis Theater in Philadelphia,
at
Mississippi.
the Ellis Theater. So they're actually going to be at the Ellis Theater, huh?
Yeah, and remember, Peter Noon was a baby when he started singing. He was like 15 years old. So, and that was my very first concert as a young boy. The Animals, the Dave Clark Five, and Herman's Hermits in the Mississippi Coliseum.
That British invasion was something else back then, and some great bands. It really was. And the Monkees, not all of them were from Britain, of course, but the Monkees and a lot of those. All right, well, speaking of monkeys, there are a lot of mucking going up in the speaker's race. The Speaker of the House race is in limbo after Representative Jim Jordan loses more support. I think he lost, 18 or 20 or 22? I forgot what it was, but it didn't fare better on this one. Your thoughts, and where are we now?
Yeah, the first vote, he had 20 Republicans that voted for other individuals, and then on the second vote, he lost votes, and 22 voted against him or for other folks. And right now, I talked to a number of members across the country last night, and the consensus is that Jim Jordan will not be the next speaker, and that there's just really no way that he can work through that, Paul, to overcome that. Part of that has been the fact that a lot of groups, which he has says he has nothing to do with and has condemned what they've done, but there have been a lot of grassroots groups out there that have called and threatened these members, their spouses, just pretty, and I think that just made them, just bow up even more as to where they can't get there. And
but you can't blame that. Well, first of all, you can't blame that on Jim Jordan, though.
No, but the fact that it's going on, it sends a wrong message. And it's tough enough up there, but when you have death threats to a member or the spouse of a member over something like this, somebody has gotten a green light to go a little further than they should. But right now, I would say Jim Jordan will not be the speaker based upon what we're hearing and what I've been told. And I think the House is just going to have to stay there until they work this one out. I don't see them leaving until they resolve it. But Paul, right now, there are some that a lot. I mean, the Republican that's gotten the most votes thus far for speaker has been Kevin McCarthy at 210. But I don't think there's a pathway for him to be reconsidered. It's possible, but not likely. The most likely scenario right now, I believe, would be Patrick McHenry, who has been the speaker pro tem, the interim, let's say. And that can go one of two ways. That could be just give him additional powers to operate, or maybe make him the permanent speaker. So that's a possible as well. But today, everything that I'm showing would indicate that Jordan should have a pathway.
Is there any, because the person who got the most votes in this last round was Steve Scalise at 7, McCarthy got 5, Zeldin got 3, not even in there. Boehner got 1, Granger 1, Garcia, Westerman, Emmer, Donalds, who else? Jeffries, of course. They all stuck together. He got 212. But the Republican who got the most is Scalise. Is there a possibility of asking Scalise to come back in? Is there any talk about that one?
No, I'm not hearing anything, nor do I think that he would want to go through that. At this point, sticking together is a great, what a novel concept, Paul, but it's really what the Republicans are going to need to do during this time and come up with a plan. And remember, that whoever winds up, we know this, there will be a speaker elected. We just don't know when. We don't know, who that will be. But, think back about our history. Remember when Newt Gingrich was on the way out, Bob Livingston was going to be the speaker. He had to drop out. And somebody that really wasn't looking for it, Dennis Hastert, wound up getting the speakership. So, we may or may not know who it's going to be today. McHenry is the most likely, if you were doing, a betting odds, you'd say it's probably McHenry in some shape, form, or fashion. But then there are rumblings about others. If that's not what happens, who might it be? And so there are a number like Kevin Hern from Oklahoma, Mike Johnson from Louisiana, both very, very conservative leaders. Those are possibles. General Jack Bergman, a 3-star general, has been mentioned as well from Michigan. So it's really anybody's guess once you get past Patrick McHenry.
If you put it in perspective, this will be round 3, and I think they're coming back in 10 o'clock our time this morning. Not sure when the vote will be, or if there will be a vote today. But McCarthy went through how many? 30 or around 30?
15. There were 15 rounds, but he
15 rounds. Okay,
that's right. There were, but he gained support each time. He didn't lose support. And it got down to just, 1 or 2 at the end. And he was able to get to work that out. But he was far and away the consensus. Nobody else has stepped up like that. And I don't see, and there are other issues there that you have that, McCarthy certainly, has paid his dues over the years. He's always been viewed as a team player. And it's a shame that and look, Newt Gingrich summed it up well on Fox the other night. He called the 8 that voted with the Democrats for Luke McCarthy, he called them traitors. And so, is it possible that 4 of those 8 would now flip their vote and vote for McCarthy and we have a redo? Not likely. But, what happened to Kevin McCarthy was certainly not a fair process, But it is what it is.
Something else, Greg, that always steams me and a lot of other people. Well, certainly here, sitting at this desk, you get a lot of people on C-Spire text line or on social media. As soon as a Republican has a vote or an opinion that disagrees with them, they slap the rhino label on them. And I think we ought to quit that. We can. You really want to see a rhino? Now you go back and you look at some of these people who are voting really in line with the Democrat Party. You whittle that down, and I think we use that term just because we get teed off at somebody and we disagree with one thing out of 1,000, and we slap their rhinos. And I think we ought to just stop doing that. But the other part of this is that if there is another vote for the guy, and I heard somebody say yesterday, they were really perplexed, it was on Fox News, why this animosity by some members against Jim Jordan, because for all of these years he's been a tremendous ally of McCarthy. And it's not like he was diametrically opposed in philosophies or policies with McCarthy. So it's got to be something else, and I'm not sure what it is, but we'll talk more about it when we come back with Gregg Harper. Gregg Harper, and we were talking about several different things here. You want to continue? Yeah,
sure. You mentioned, why, about Jordan, perhaps why he's not doing better.
Yeah.
And then the use of name calling, which always happens, certainly on social media and other places. But, the role of the speaker it's a little different, Paul. You can be a firebrand out there, but when you're speaker, you're taking care of very conservative members in the Deep South. You also, look, we have the majority because we won races in New York State and California that we probably weren't supposed to win, there are 20 districts that Biden carried that we have Republican members. So you have to protect them as well. Try not to let them take too many difficult votes that are going to get used against them. You've got that going on. And as Speaker, you have to travel all over the country. You have to raise money for other members. McCarthy did that for some that voted against him. So a little ungrateful aspect there. But he raised a lot of money to help the team. Scalise does that and has done that. What I'm told on Jim Jordan, who's done a magnificent job, I believe, as chairman of Judiciary Committee, is that he doesn't have that same network, nor has he had a pattern of raising money for the team, let's say. So that's one aspect there that's there as well.
What about McHenry, though? Patrick McHenry, does he?
Yes, he does. And Patrick McHenry, if you recall, when we had the ball field shooting where Steve Scalise was wounded back in, I believe, June of 2017, Patrick McHenry was the deputy whip. So he really assumed those roles of the whip for a number of months before Scalise was able to return to duty. So he's, I think most folks view him as a team player. So, sometimes it boils down to, okay, who has the least people that hate him for something or don't like him for something.
Well, I got to tell you, I like the idea of Mike Johnson from Louisiana. He is relatively young. I think he's been serving, this is his fourth term in Congress. He's a sharp guy, well-spoken, seems to be calm in chaos. But your thoughts on Mike Johnson?
Well, I like Mike Johnson from Louisiana. He was, he came in 2017, I believe. And so you're right, fourth term, well-liked, one of those that just gets along with everybody. And he was chairman of the Republican Study Committee. Remember, the Republican Study Committee is the largest conservative group there. So he's been chairman. Kevin Hern is current chairman. One of the things is several of those that you hear mentioned, like Mike Johnson, Kevin Hern, and Jody Arrington, for instance, from Texas, or Jack Bergman from Michigan, is they've not been there a long time. And that can sometimes be where you've got, hey, you need a little more, time in the saddle before you're ready for that role. But Mike Johnson's is polite and nice and just very conservative. All of them are conservative, or they wouldn't be on that side. I think that if you look at it right now, if Jim Jordan can't get there, and if McCarthy doesn't have a way back, and for some reason McHenry can't get it, then Johnson is one that's going to be considered for sure.
Well, the only thing he's got going against him, he was a former radio talk show host, but some people might hold that against him. Who would you say right now, if you could wave a magic wand and put him in there, other than McCarthy and Scalise and Jordan, who do you think would be good for this country? Somebody who could coalesce things as much as Newt Gingrich did.
If you can handle the bow tie every day, Patrick McHenry. So he is.
That's going to be tough, man. That's going to be tough.
But he's really one of those that's really gets along with everybody. A name that I would throw out just as somebody that I have great respect for, that is one of those that works well behind the scenes, whose name's not been mentioned, who's obviously not out there, tooting his own horn, would be Richard Hudson from North Carolina. He's one that has really worked hard on recruiting Republicans to run in key races around the country. He's raised a lot of money, kind of soft-spoken, but just really has a maturity about him that I haven't heard his name or seen his name out there, but he's somebody I think that's really solid.
Greg, I got to ask you this, though. How do you do this? What's the game plan to talk to as many members as you can, saying, look, to bring folks together in enough numbers to get the ball rolling somewhere else besides Jim Jordan? How do you do that? Do you just, it's on the phone, through social media, but let's pick a guy. Let's say it is Richard Hudson, and see if you can kind of take some type of tabulation on how strong you are going forward before you make that move.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's. I don't want to use the word impossible, but it's almost impossible in the current situation to do that. Just remember, the person on the floor that had the most votes would have been Kevin McCarthy. He needed, if he had just 3 of those 8 flip with the numbers there that day, he would have remained as speaker. So that's the most support out there still is probably for Kevin McCarthy, but you can't get there without everybody on board. So I would say McHenry it may be, here's what I don't want happening, okay? I don't want McHenry just to remain as Speaker pro tem with expanded powers. You don't want to put this off.
Yeah,
I do think I'm with you. Lock him in a room, let him work this out, come out with somebody that 217 or 218 are going to vote for, and let's move on. Put this dark moment behind it. We're wasting time we don't have right now, and so I know. Most of the members are like us, Paul. They're very frustrated. They're doing their job. They just want to move forward. And the fact that we've had 8 tail waggers that have put us in this position is something we just don't need to be in again.
Yeah, and the other thing too is just for PR, that large segment of the population that's in the independent column or in the very moderate or wishy-washy Republican. This is, I think, doing irreparable damage at a time when we don't need it, certainly moving into the presidential election. And it's bad to see. I mean, when you're sitting there voting for Boehner, what the hell are you doing? Come on. It's just absolutely crazy. And for the people who are supposed to be the ones with common sense and calm, in the face of some of this socialism going on, it's out of character, and I hope they get it taken care of. You don't expect a vote today, or do you? Do you vote? Do you expect another vote today?
I think it's likely that there'll be another vote today.
Yeah.
So, and that vote would start with a quorum call first, and then a vote on speaker. So,
if he loses even more this time, would that be an indication that he's probably not going to try number 4? And if he gains even 1, it looks like he would. You think that's going to be the template?
I think Jim Jordan's a diligent, smart person. He'll know if he's got the votes or not. He's not going to want to go put the conference through this. If he believes he's going to lose more votes, I don't know that he's going to subject himself or the team to a third vote on the floor. So we'll watch. I think before noon today, our time, probably more like 10 or 11 o'clock, we'll see if he says I'm dropping out or we'll have another vote. But I think we'll know this morning what's going to happen, Paul.
And we don't have a lot of time here, but as a student of world history, you got to be concerned what's going on the world stage now.
Oh, look, we cannot be doing this. And of course, I know what the position of my successor, Michael Guest, is. It's basically what you said is let's stay here, lock ourselves in a room, and let's get this done. And I think that's probably the sentiment of 95% of the conference right there. We look like we're in disarray. We can get these independent voters if we get back on track. Because, from now till November is still, November of 24, is still a political eternity. We can get it right, but we need to step it up now and get this solved.
Time to put it in high gear. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it very, very much. You got it. Gregg Harper, former congressman from